As Patrick mentioned earlier, I grew up. I was born in Sheffield, and I grew up in Chesterfield, which is North Derbyshire. And North Derbyshire is full of quaint traditions, most of which involve battering someone after a few stellas on a Friday night. But this is a slightly less violent one. I wrote this poem about the tradition in Derbyshire of leaving milk on the hearthstone for ghosts as an offering, which reminded me of Christmas at home, when my dad would always leave beer on the hearthstone for Santa Claus or Rudolph or whatever. I could never work out in the morning why the beer was always gone and the carrots were always still there. So this poem's about that. It's called Hearth Milk. You looked for ghosts in everyone you met, shape-shifters, nodding to you through a shiver of starlings from the eaves, our new gate swinging on its knuckled hinge. The porch lamp burned all night for them. You left fresh milk beneath the chimney pot, strained to catch them in the whistle of the stove, and heard them clearest through the weather, sleet and gale force, nights when the roof tugged at the root of the house, its tiles all startled into flight, nights when the oak tree tapped its morse against the glazing, nights I'd hear you trying out the lock. Tonight I offer up my findings, dappled snails from the door frame, chicken bones for making stock, a ring, a thought, a paper cut, a clutch of stones I hoarded from the wood, filled my pockets till I was fit for drowning, felt more solid than the floor I stood on, thought of sinking through. Out back, in all the black-walled gardens, nettles and dandelions are offering themselves to rain. In the living room, we hug our knees and think what ghosts we've smuggled past the threshold, lovers we don't speak of, friends we drank with and moved on, ghosts who visit in the small hours, when we stand in the garden long before dawn to smoke the new day in, or stare ourselves out in the bathroom mirror, dimming it with breath. Ghosts we've shut the sashes on, fastened every door and catch, and still, each twilight we are leaving something at the hearthstone, gifting them the best part of the day. As Patrick mentioned, as Patrick mentioned before, I'm working on this sort of bizarre one-woman show at the moment called A Pint for the Ghost. It's based on legends and ghost stories from north-east Derbyshire, Sheffield. It's basically an excuse to write about pubs. So all the poems are set in a deserted pub after hours. This is one of the poems from the show. I'm going to read mostly poems from that in the second half. This is a poem from my old dancing teacher. Now, anyone who knows me will find it absolutely remarkable that I ever used to dance because I'm so uncoordinated. But this is for her. She was an amazing woman and she could still do the splits at about 85 or something. She was amazing. So this poem's called A Chaser for Miss Heath. At 70, our dance mistress could still perform a perfect pas de chat. Her French was wasted in the north. We stood in line, repeating pas de chat, or sniggered as she waited in the wings, her right hand beating time against her hip, her eyes avoiding ours. She never made the stage. It took me 20 years to understand. Alone tonight, and far from home, in shoes that pinch my toes until they bleed, my back held ballerina straight. I wait as she did, too afraid to walk into a bar where everyone's a stranger. I almost see her glide across the city night to meet me, tall and white and slim. A step behind, she clicks her fingers. Elegant, she counts me in. This is another ghost. This is a Sheffield ghost. I was reading about a fantastic former music hall comedian who called himself Stainless Stephen. He was obsessed with Sheffield still.